atheist secular positions have only been developed over the last like 70 years mostly. Like most of their theories are
What?
brand new.
The when was the
Yeah,
Enlightenment?
Much longer than
it doesn't
70
matter
years?
what the fuck
Yeah.
is wrong with you.
why, why,
What?
why you attack me?
That
What the fuck is wrong with you bringing up the Enlightenment or something like that? We
because
did science and
that's when
Christianity,
secularism
Yeah.
was the novel thing.
but they didn't have all these theories. The theories that
Oh
you
my.
guys argue
Yes,
you're
they
in,
did. It's all
no
the same
bullshit.
shit.
I feel
I'm only
bad for
going
you,
to.
Christian dinosaur man. I decided to join a Discord politics server, open to all. And by opening to all, you inevitably invite some of the uh, lesser than favorable worldviews and positions. And there always is these couple of proselytizers who just hold these channels ad eternum. The Christian channel, the Jewish Lounge, the America First channel, and then there's this one guy. I am going to call him the sad Christian dinosaur. Not Fox is his name. You'll see our conversation shortly here, and I just feel bad for the guy. I honestly feel bad for the guy. And the thing is, though, that this type of person, this sad dinosaur kind of guy, he is oh so very common in deeply Christian and theistic circles. The profundity, the absolute grandiose ideas that they hold, the anchored sort of flow charts they have in their brain attached to what sounds like logical reasoning and good arguments in them, but when dug apart even slightly, when perturbed by the slightest needle, is immediately popped and put into frisson, put into fission, excuse my French, and instantly dispersed into a whole whack-a-mole of what the fuck are you saying paradigms, i.e., he is full of baloney. But he believes his baloney, he eats his baloney ad infinitum. And when I point out how his baloney is rotten, how his baloney is disgusting and vomit inducing upon consumption, he calls me a jerk. He calls me a Satanist at one point. Look forward to that. That's what I just did right now, is called getting you to continue to watch the video. Well done there. You got to look forward to the point where I'm called a Satanist. That's 5 points for grit. But it saddens me. I hear beyond the mic, beyond the dinosaur visua, I hear a sadness, a boy crying for help, but he is just pigeonholed into this frame, this theistic Christianity frame that he just has a megaphone and a line of scripts. He has, instead of the whole vastness of imagination that we can invite and beckon as fellow humans in a room of discussion, he simply has throw lines. He has five to choose from. And if I invite the idea of perhaps that paragraph maybe could be rephrased, or maybe isn't right, or maybe is just silly or absurd, well, he gets angry. He threatens. He jumps to other ideas. So you will now see the sad Christian dinosaur discussion in its entirety. In its entirety.
The guy starts running down the street, so you're like, oh, we stole that thing, right? Like you
So I could
observing that doesn't
misinterpret it.
it doesn't make it true. Just even the fact that you're having this qualia experience, you're having this experience of things, right? What's to say that your
Yeah.
experience of the world isn't just a poor representation of the real world?
Okay. So are you making a solipsist argument?
Well, I'm not a solipsist. I'm saying that how do you overcome the hard problem of solipsism?
As I mentioned, because of the impossibility of the contrary.
That's not an argument that defeats the hard problem of solipsism, bro.
No argument
It's
can
any
defeat the hard problem of solipsism.
So what you're saying now is that, well, that's not a problem in our worldview. That's a problem in your worldview. The solipsism
What do you
problem
mean
isn't a Christian.
your worldview? How is solipsism not a problem in your worldview, but it is in mine?
Well, because God has revealed the world clearly in such a way where
How do you
we're
know that?
without excuse. Because it's the whole worldview perspective. We're Christians. We believe in the biblical perspective.
I have the whole worldview perspective that you can see
Well, you
the
don't
universe
have.
around you.
Okay.
How is that
Well, you
any
just said
different
you
from
don't
yours?
have. Well,
When
because
when
you
you
don't
have a
have a.
stone and you put
You
it
have
on a
a
weight and you measure it and you see the numbers pop up,
and then
do you
said,
do
"How
you
do
do
you
you
do
make an
that?"
empirical observation there?
Yeah.
Okay, so you do the same thing I do. You make observations of the world around you.
No,
So
it's the
fundamentally,
same thing.
we view the world in the same way.
We don't. You think that your sense perception is giving you a reliable picture of the external world. Your
And
sense
yours doesn't.
perceptions of a
So
time
are when
into a particular sensitivity so that they can perceive certain degrees of change or variables about the external world. You believe all that stuff, but you can't account for it. Okay. I believe that God created us with certain attributes like to discern the difference between good and evil, and he created us with eyes and stuff like that, but they didn't evolve through some kind of evolutionary process in the way that you describe. So we've got completely different worldviews. You can't borrow from my worldview and say we're doing it the same way.
I'm not
You're not
borrowing
doing it the same way.
from your worldview. I'm saying we both use empiricism to understand the world around us. How does you having
Okay.
divinely
How?
revealed information make
Okay.
your looking at
Okay.
the scale numbers any different from me looking at the scale numbers and
That
saying how much this object weighs?
not the point. Okay, so we're both using empiricism, but how
Yeah.
can you account for the reliability of your conclusions? How do you know that the things that you believe about the world are accurate representations of the world? We know because we live in a system where God created it in such a way where we've got no excuses about things like that. It's been made
How,
plain to us in such a way that we can know.
how do you know the weather tomorrow?
We don't absolutely know exactly what the weather's going to be.
Oh,
The predictions, things about the weather.
yeah. Based off of meteorological research and predictions, based off of peer
Yeah,
reviewed
but we've got
data points.
justification for
That's
believing that.
how we understand the world around us is by
Okay,
not
but
just you're
we've
right,
got
not just my singular unilateral vision of the world around me. It's off
you've
of
got a bad
the
attitude,
human
and it's
collection of data and research and
dude,
science.
what is wrong with you? Are you okay?
What is wrong with me?
Yeah, what is wrong with you? Are you all right, bro?
Why would anything be wrong? Do you not do that? Do
It's
you
got
not
like a
understand like that's how
terrible
you can
attitude.
get
You
the
don't
weather
care
report for
about
tomorrow?
listening.
What?
Dude, that's irrelevant.
Why is it irrelevant? It's how you understand the world around you. It's like what you learn in first
Look,
grade. You like
this
can
is
add numbers, you can count things, you can weigh
stop
stuff, you can see things.
continuing. Do I have to mute you to be able to speak? It's
What are you trying to
ridiculous,
say?
bro. Yeah, our worldviews are completely different. That's the point. Is that we can justify the reliability of our sense perception through our worldview, but you can't justify the reliability of your sense perception. Okay, so when you're making claims, you're saying, "Oh yeah, well we can just use the empirical method to justify things about the external world." What worldview do you have to justify that? Like, what by what standard is that true? You don't have a rational standard.
You can justify it by saying that this is you have to arrive at some sort of bedrock for your worldview, right? So the justification is that the universe exists and we can make observations around it. That's the
Our bedrock.
justification.
This is where we settle down. There's a necessary being that transcends the
Why?
physical world that has the attributes to
Why?
account for the physical world
How did you
because of
arrive at that conclusion?
logical arguments that we can go over. Right. That's why I believe in it. So
What
why do
logical
you?
argument leads you to that conclusion? That
It's
you
all
need a
sorts of
god?
different ones, right? But that's not the point.
Yes,
I can go over
I,
the. Please stop complaining, bro.
I'm not
Just let
complaining.
me talk to you. I'm trying to get a point out, and you're
Okay,
interrupting constantly. So just shut up for a second and
sure.
listen,
Okay.
okay?
Okay.
So we've got different standards of justification, right? We can go into my standard of justification in a bit or something, but I've already put this to you. I've asked you a question like 30 times, and you keep talking about other stuff, okay? I'm saying to you, right, in our worldview, we've got a rational system through which we can justify the reliability of our sense perception. But in your worldview, you even admitted that you can't overcome the hard problem of solipsism. So how do you know anything external to your mind exists in a meaningful way if you succumb to that problem? Like, how can you rationally justify something?
Whoa, whoa, whoa. You've solved solipsism with your worldview?
Our worldview doesn't have the same issues as yours in terms of the problem of solipsism.
I'm gonna take some notes here. So what about your worldview is basically, immune to the argument, oh, but it's all in your head. Oh, but you're a brain in a vat. What about your worldview specifically makes you immune to that point?
Because God has created the world in such a way
You
where
imagined your God. You imagined God creating a world in such a way.
no,
That's how your
no, no.
brain was programmed in a vat.
Okay, so you can say that, but God has created it from our perspective. God has created the world in such a way where you can't deny his truth. And so, even if I was a solipsistic brain in a vat, then the necessary being that accounts for truth that's beyond me would have to exist. So, our God is that necessary being. There is, like, okay, so let's just say we do a thought experiment, right? We won't even use empiricism. We're just in our own mind. Right, so what's the argument for that? The cogito ergo sum. So I say this instead because it takes out one of the problems, but what is it? I experience, therefore I am. In order to experience, you have to exist. I experience, therefore I exist. Do you agree with that?
I experience, therefore I exist. Okay.
Yeah. So now that's true regardless of whether you accept it. Regardless of whether I accept it, it's true.
That can still be befuddled by someone just saying, well, that's what you think.
It's true regardless of whether I accept it or not. The fact that in order to experience, I have to exist. I experience, therefore I exist. I could deny that, but it's still true. My accepting of it didn't make it true. It's true anyway, right? Same for you. So there's an authority that accounts for the truth of that proposition that transcends your conscious mind. Like you aren't the thing that accounts for the truth of the proposition. So there's something necessary that it
That's what
accounts for the truth of that proposition. That's what we're talking about when we talk about God, the necessary authority.
any philosophical argument is saying more than just, it's not that I believe it, that it's true, it's that this is the way that it's true. It's not special to your particular God belief. Anyone who believes, for example, I don't know, in empiricism or ethically, right? Like a rule utilitarian kind of perspective, doesn't think that it's just because they believe that that's the case. They think that it quite actually is the case. That's why they believe it's the case.
No, but that's
I
just
feel
one
like your
point.
system of belief and like the way people think
No,
things are is
that,
reversed.
well, that's just an argument. Look, that's an argument that doesn't require any kind of empiricism or something like that. So that's not a cosmological argument, right? We make cosmological arguments too. We also make arguments based on the legal standard that was created is based on the Bible. The all time is measured from this point. There's archaeological evidence. The claims of the Bible have been verified through archaeological excavations, which were planned based off of what the Bible said. The Bible says that there's certain people that lived in these locations, so they do the digs and they find the people in the locations. The Bible has been proven accurate when tested. If you
Do you,
read the Bible, you can see the truth of the Bible. If you deny the Bible, then you're irrational. You can't rationally justify
do
anything.
you
Fuck the
think?
And the
Bible.
Bible
Fuck
actually
the
says
Bible. Let's talk
Yeah.
about immigrants.
that's what the
Oh,
Bible actually
geez.
says. The Bible says
Do you
that
think the book of Exodus happened?
yeah, I think in the
Do you,
Bible, yeah, I'm a Bible.
What about the Gospel of Thomas?
Look, let me talk to this guy Badger, and then we'll talk to you about your worldview.
Talk about the Gospel of Thomas, can't we, mate?
Dude, we're not going to go into the Gnostic shit right now. We can do that another time. Don't derail. This is a guy. He's got different ideas than you about
Do you,
the world, so we want to refute all of the problems that he has.
yes, let's talk
First.
about
I'm
let's talk
smarter than
about the
all of you
historicity of
anyway.
the
It doesn't
Bible.
matter. I'm well smarter than all of you guys anyway. So
Oh wow,
You keep interrupting. Thank you.
we found a good one, didn't we?
Yeah, he's just trolling anyway.
Okay. So, do you think that, like, for example, the story of the plagues and the Jews fleeing Egypt is history,
Yeah.
or do you think it's
Yeah,
mythology?
I agree. I think so these are the choices that you've got, okay? So you've got the people that
Okay.
made CERN, NASA, and they named their scientific, projects after fake gods and stuff like that, and they have no connection to
What
you. So
does that
you can
have to
trust
do
those,
with?
or you can trust. I'm explaining it, or you can trust the people that handed us down the Bible from generation to generation, and we've got a list of names that go all the way back from Jesus to Adam. We've got a list of the who handed the information down from one person to the next, and then also after that, we've got the succession of people that have handed down the scripture. So from Adam all the way down to me, there's a line of succession where it's all from my own family line, and that's what they told me. They told me these guys are all going to lie to you. They're going to say all this fake stuff. They're going to worship the devil. They're going to worship the sun and the moon. They're going to worship gods like Moloch and sacrifice their children to Moloch, and you'll see that in the world. And their nations will be like, they'll go like Babylon or Sodom and Gomorrah or something like that, and you'll be able to see that they get the consequences of their actions based on a Christian perspective. You can see it fulfilling itself during your lifetime. And then I look out at the world and I see everything exactly as the Bible told me. Like the Bible clearly explains this is how the world's going to be when people forget about God. And I'm living in a place where they forgot about God. And you know what? An army of Assyrian men have come to inflict cruel and unusual punishments on the people of the land, you know?
Oh, how nice is God punishing the people with pain?
It's not.
Wow,
It's their actions that led to that. Their
wow, God
choices.
I
is so
I
merciful.
asked you
I'm gonna
how you know
do
the
if you mind.
Bible is historically accurate,
Fuck
specifically
you.
how you know Exodus is not mythology, is real history. You told me that the Bible talks about lineage. You told me about Syrian
I said
immigrants
it.
in your country. What does that have to do with the historicity of your book?
There are two different takes on history. There's the biblical take, which has been handed down through my ancestors to me, and then there's the agnostic secular take, where they claim that the Bible, that the Bible's wrong, and that they're right, and that we evolved from like bananas to
Don't you
fish.
know that the Muslim
Oh, no.
tradition is also something handed down generation after generation? That the Mormon tradition is also something handed down generation after generation? Do you think because it's a
Okay.
myth transpired generation over generation that makes it more valid, that it makes it more accurate, that makes it historically true?
Dude, I'm a Christian after going and researching all of those religions, bro. The Muslims, their God can't account for unity and diversity, right? So before creation, he lacks the ability to be fully actualized. So the thing that's necessary has to be pure act. It's
I'm not
called.
talking about the
And
theology of them. I'm talking
I'm
about the
explaining something.
historicity.
If you're
You said the
interested,
Bible is historically accurate because it's handed
can you
down
stop
generation after generation.
the conversation if you keep interrupting me? Honestly, I'm in the middle of a sentence, bro,
You're not
and you're
answering
just
the
interrupting.
point, though. You're running away from
I
it.
am. You're not listening. You're not listening. You're trying to get some kind of like, I don't know what, attack on me, and I'm trying to respond to the thing you're saying in full,
I'm
and you
asking
don't want to
why
hear
is the
what you
Bible historically accurate? And you
why.
said it's because it's handed down. I gave other examples
No.
of religions that are handed down.
Can you stop interrupting me? It's the last
It,
warning. If you want to have a real conversation, don't
Uh-oh.
overtalk me again. Try and have
okay,
some respect. Okay. So
okay.
stop.
Okay.
So this is it, right? So I didn't say that. I said that there's two different versions of history. There's one that's been handed down for the last 50 years from atheists, or 70 years or something. And then there's one that's been handed down from generations of people that are actually from my lineage and family who have protected this information and said this is the most important stuff from our history that you've got to know.
The
This is
last
the
70 years from atheists. What's that mean?
atheist secular positions have only been developed over the last like 70 years mostly. Like most of their theories are
What?
brand new.
When was the
Yeah,
Enlightenment?
Much longer than
it doesn't
70
matter
years.
what the fuck
Yeah.
is wrong with you.
What?
Why you attack me?
What the fuck is wrong with you bringing up the Enlightenment or something like that? We
Because
do
that's when
science in
that's when
Christianity,
secularism
Yeah.
was the novel thing.
but they didn't have all these theories. The theories that
Oh
you
my.
guys argue,
Yes,
you're
they
in.
did. Some
No,
of the
they're
same
not.
shit.
I feel
I'm only
bad for
going
you,
to.
Christian dinosaur man. Dude, it's not
You
like
understand.
atheists versus Christians. There's like secular
So
thought.
you
Oh,
will
I
not
got
let me
muted.
respond to what you're
Oh, I
saying,
got
and now your
muted.
mates come in and you're trying to
Oh
dogpile them, and I'm
I
not
don't know
fucking
him, but I'll be quiet.
with
Sorry
that
about
shit.
that.
You're an idiot.
Sorry.
no. Oh no,
You're an
I
idiot.
Sorry.
got
Well, you
muted.
shouldn't interrupt, bro. You just come in. I'm trying to
Let's
have
hear
a
the
That was
sad
my
conversation.
Christian
fault. Go ahead.
dinosaur.
Unmute him. I'm gonna mute
You're
myself.
Let's hear the
retarded.
sad Christian dinosaur.
It's
Okay,
crazy trying to
let's hear
talk
the
to you
sad Christian
guys.
dinosaur.
I can't even speak because you keep over talking. I already said, like, there's two
I
different takes on
I
history.
overtalk
And who am I
because he
supposed to
doesn't
believe?
answer
These
the
secular
question.
people that can't justify what they believe and don't have
I
a
do
rational
justify
system
what I
through which
believe.
they can account for the reliability of their sense
Rationality is
perception.
empiricism.
And so when they make claims about science, all of the science that they do,
He says
they're
science with a
borrowing
TH.
from a
I think he
Christian
also means
worldview. They're literally
borrowing from
accepting
a
the
Christian.
reliability of their sense
Oh,
perception,
the
which is actually a
whitewashing.
Christian worldview,
Oh,
and they're working
Christianity made
within
it.
the
Oh,
philosophies of science
what
that were
about the golden
created
age of
by
Islam?
Christians in their
Didn't
pursuit
Muslims
of the
come up with a lot of those
truth in
maps?
order to conduct
Probably not going to acknowledge
experiments
that.
that are clear acts of revelation from God. God has clearly
Ooh,
revealed something,
they're
and we can
clear,
observe that. And so they're just working within a Christian
really
system. But the
clear,
fact
not just
is
like
that all of
vague
this
and
science and stuff like that, all of
vague.
these different theories, most of it's all completely done by Christian scientists.
Be-
Show me a
Christianity
nihilist
is the Milo of
scientist
the time. That's
who's
why
doing
they're
anything meaningful.
Christian
These guys are just
scientists.
wasting their time. These guys are sitting around fucking trying to make
Wasting
fly
time.
shag or something, you know? It's crazy.
Oh my god, he has no imagination.
So,
It's sad.
what do you believe, Brett?
Okay. Oh, he's just gonna
Hey,
mute
my
me and
bad
talk to
for
this other
talking
guy.
over. I didn't mean to get Nico muted. I'm gonna let y'all do y'all thing.
Well, to be honest, he's not interested in having a real conversation.
Yeah,
So
I am. I just wanted you to
I
answer
don't
the
think there's any
question.
point in talking
guess
to
you
him.
won't. You want to mute me?
I don't know if you're gonna
I
be
feel
any
bad.
more pleased with me. Sound like he was asking the right questions.
Oh, thanks, Red.
Dude,
I
I
appreciate
fucking
that. I
answered
know
his
he can't.
question
I
like
can't hear
3
me.
times and he's just being
He did
rude.
not answer my question. I'm not being rude. I'm
Just
just trying to get the answer.
I'm trying to respond to him and he starts talking over constantly. It's boring, you know what I mean? I don't want to fucking sit here and
Oh
have to have a
man.
shouting match with an idiot.
Okay. Oh, I'm an idiot.
It's
I'm sorry.
ridiculous.
I'm
Like,
such a,
dude, if he
I'm
wants
sorry,
to
I'm such a
hear,
big idiot.
you know, we can
Oh,
do it
man.
at a chill pace.
Maybe
You
this
know
is
what I
what
mean?
Christians
Like,
feel like
just,
when they pray and nobody answers.
Yeah, but
They just
he
need
was
a
being chill.
sad
I was the
dinosaur.
one that intervened.
Red,
So
that's
maybe
very
you'll
kind
unmute
of
him
you.
and I'll mute myself.
That's very
well,
kind of you, Red.
you'll see. This guy's not chill. He just will not let me respond to anything he's saying.
I'll
And
prove
you jumped in as well.
Let me
And
be
that's the
very
thing, is
humble
that
and
he should at least
apologetic.
give me the chance to
I will
respond,
demonstrate
right?
humility,
Instead of like
grace.
dogpiling me with like loads of
No. I will
fucking
not
like a
dogpile you. I
massive
promise.
gish gallop
Hey,
I will
hey,
demonstrate.
bruh.
He's just trying to
I've
all the
apologized.
terms.
You got him on mute. I'm gonna mute
let me-
myself.
I'm gonna be
Maybe
so humble.
not discussing and talking
I'm
about how
gonna
you were
be
done wrong.
so
Let's just move
gracious
forward.
for not fucks to be in your home, to be in your presence.
Oh, I'm not going to put up with that
I will-
anymore. So just so you know,
Let's see if he unmutes me. Not
okay.
fucks. I'm so sorry. Please go ahead.
Okay, so there's two different. So you're saying that you wanted to. You're saying why do I believe in the Christian version of history rather than the secular view of history? That's what you were asking last.
Can I clarify?
Yeah.
I'm more so interested in why do you think the Bible is historically accurate? Specifically,
Because,
Exodus,
and when we
for example.
Because when we've been able to test for it, then we've been able to justify the beliefs in the Bible pretty much completely. When we look at the Exodus story and the Red Sea crossing, somebody's been there and they found remains of the Roman chariots and stuff under the sea there. So, in the exact spot where it would make the most sense. And then also the splitting of the sea is explained in that way as well, because there's like a tidal thing that happens in that area, which is really interesting as well. So,
The chariots under
God
the sea.
guided them.
I think I know what you're talking about. There's I forget his name now, but like an avant-garde archaeologist who claims to find like this spire under the ocean, but it's not peer reviewed, and I think it's been heavily disputed. Did you have any other
Yeah, but
examples?
well, I mean, of that one, I mean, that's just one bit of evidence, you know what I mean? But in the other cases where we've looked at, the Bible has said that there's things going to be in this. Well, actually, that's a good one, Sodom and Gomorrah. So they go to the place where Sodom and Gomorrah was, and obviously in the Bible it says it rained down sulfur on these people. So they go to the place where Sodom and Gomorrah is, and they do an archaeological dig. Guess what they find? Balls
Hmm.
of sulfur. The purest sulfur that the world has seen. It's the purest form of sulfur in the world, and it's in this ball form, and it's in Sodom and Gomorrah, exactly where the sulfur was rained down on the people. So, how do you justify that? Does that not make you think?
That because there was sulfur in a specific area, that it
He
means the
said that it
Bible
was
story was
rained
true.
down. It says it. Well, it is. It's obvious that something happened there that's not normal around the rest of the world, right? You know that.
I mean,
Why
are there
did these
not?
balls like
Go ahead,
that in
yeah.
this one place? Why did they form like that in that place?
Are there not
Mm.
naturally occurring sulfur formations across the world in various places?
Not like that. You don't get like balls of sulfur forming like that. It's the purest form of sulfur, and it's formed in balls, which is weird.
So, um, I looked up the report. I think it's the Tal El Haman report as a Bronze Age settlement, and I'm reading that multiple archaeologists and geologists disputed whether the shocked quartz met the diagnostic criteria for shock metamorphism, i.e., raining sulfur, and argued that the melt features are consistent with ordinary conflagration of a mud brick city which burns hot. So there's a contrary peer reviewed report that's saying that this is just like a mundane geological formation.
What, the balls of sulfur you're saying?
That yeah,
Oh,
the balls of sulfur were
could you show me
exaggerated.
examples of that happening in any other part of the world?
The
If it's
the
mundane,
example of what?
is it happening anywhere else?
I mean, yeah, I'm sure I could find sulfur deposits and salt pillars in many locations across the world.
Balls of sulfur.
Don't you think though it's a bit more um,
What is
far-reaching
wrong with
to pull for like a particular myth?
It's just one random thing. That's a random thing you said. What archaeological claims in the Bible?
Yeah,
What can we prove through empirical study? And I said, well, we went to the place where the Bible says it rained down sulfur, and we found sulfur
sure.
balls, like which never existed anywhere else. That's one thing. It's not everything, bro. That's actually the thing that I believe it on, isn't that? I believe it based off of the logical arguments to do with the contingency argument. In order to account for the world, there has to be something that has the attributes to account for the world. The world can't account for itself because physical things are dependent on things that precede them in order for them to exist in the way that they do. So there has to be something that can account for it. St. Thomas Aquinas says it like this. He says, in order for a potentiality to be actualized, there has to be a necessary actualizer. So, in order for a future potential to come about, essentially, there's going to have to be something necessary that can account for it. Okay, so the physical world is dependent on something that precedes it in order for it to exist in the way that it does. And the necessary thing has to have all the attributes to account for itself in and of itself without contingency, and it has to be able to account for everything in the world. And so they're like, it has to have the great making properties to account for the necessary preconditions. It needs to have unity and diversity. I'm sure you've heard of the unity and diversity argument before. It gets even more complicated, you know? But we can get into it. We do have the justification to account for why the Christian God is the only one that can account for unity and diversity in the world. Right? We've debunked everybody else. We did it 1,000 years ago.
So
Like we literally debunked everybody else. Any argument, or if you, what does it say? For though we live in the world, we do not wage war as the world does. The weapons that we fight with are not weapons of this world. On the contrary, they have divine power to demolish strongholds. We demolish every argument and every pretension that sets itself up against the knowledge of God. And we take captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ. And we're there to punish every act of disobedience when your disobedience is complete. So if you say anything that's not in line with Christ, then we've got the refutation for it. And they were talking about that in the New Testament, you know?
So you're no longer interested in talking about the historicity of the Bible?
Well, I just gave you an example. I mean, what more do you want? You said, what justification do you have for that based on empiricism? I gave you one example.
Okay. As I understand it, the story of Sodom and Gomorrah puts the area in the southern Dead Sea region. The archaeological site that you're talking about, sits north of the Dead Sea. So it's like saying you found some, meteoric chasms in Arizona that proves a story that's supposed to have happened in Vancouver. Do you
No,
not see how
that's
that?
not correct. No,
What's not
no.
correct? Is the
What we're
Bible
doing
wrong,
is,
or
and no, the Bible is telling us, where we're based on our knowledge of the Bible, going out to try to find what the Bible's saying these particular locations are. So we go to that location based off of the Bible's information, where we think is the correct place to go, based off of like the history of the Romans talking about the neighboring countries, etc. So we go out and we do an excavation, and then you find the balls of sulfur that the Bible said were going to be there. I mean, I don't
so?
get why that's difficult for you. Like, why are you trying to twist it into something it's not?
I think you're the one that's twisting it, because the Bible says, like in the Genesis 13 chapters, Deuteronomy 34, that it should be in the southern Dead Sea region. But the archaeological site you're talking about is in Tal El Hammam, which sits north of the Dead Sea. So you see how north and south are different.
Well, it depends on the perspective you're looking at it from. So, obviously they've already looked into that stuff. The reason that they chose that particular location is because they thought that was the best bet based on the information that they had. And you can try and twist it, all this time later. But the reason that they chose that location is because they thought it was the actual site that they should do the excavation on. That's why they did it there. They didn't want to waste all their money and do an excavation on a part that they didn't think it was. Based off of the information, that's what they meant by the South. That's it. Right? You can sit there and try and do semantics and sophistry, but why would these people that are doing the excavation have done it there unless they already knew what the people meant in the Bible? Why would they have done it? Why
You
did they
think
go there? Why did they go
archaeologists
somewhere? Right.
wait? You think archaeologists pick the sites that they do historical investigations into based off of what the Bible says?
In that particular case, it was based off of the information that was in the Bible. And that's how they decided the location to do it. There's another one as well when they're looking at well, I mean, just that other one which I mentioned earlier with the crossing. It's based off of biblical information that he found the crossing point.
What crossing point?
The one where you said earlier where they found the chariot thing and stuff. So the one we were talking about earlier with the dead, with the
Ron
Exodus.
Wyatt, that was his name.
Yeah, Ron White also.
Who has no archaeological training.
Look, it doesn't matter. He's still look. You guys are such fucking weirdos. You know the Christians. It's so weird. Well, you know we used to control the
You get
peer review
uncomfortable
system.
by criticism, but then you just call me a weirdo.
Do you under you guys are weirdos because we used to control the peer review system, and then you kicked the Christians out because they
Dude.
weren't letting you make
Oh.
weird decisions and push like lesbian dance theory and stuff in
Lesbian dance
science.
theory.
They
That
weren't letting
sounds interesting.
pseudoscience in. And so because the Christians weren't letting the unbelievers do pseudoscience, they hijacked the peer review system in like the 1970s and kicked the creationists out. Right? That's mad. And then now they base all of the education system off of that. It's so ridiculous. You can't say, oh, well, why would I go into your standard of academia when you've kicked us out of it and said that we're not allowed to be a part of the peer review system? Why don't we just make our own peer review system and tell you guys to spin on it? Like what? It's crazy. Oh well, he's got no qualifications. Based on my understanding of things, you're working within a corrupt system where your qualifications aren't worth anything. Do you know what I mean? Like honestly, you're so biased. It's ridiculous. Like Ron White, why do you think? Just even if he didn't have any qualifications anyway, that doesn't
Okay.
change the fact that the guy knows what he's talking about better than you do. Are you
So,
really going to act like that? Like you're going to be pretentious about it? Like, well, you've not got a university degree. So
well,
what?
okay.
The guy,
Did he ever
it's
produce a recovered
a
artifact for independent examination? Was there ever a chariot wheel or an axle or a bone that was brought up or
yeah, he's done
cataloged?
stuff
Or anything that's been made available to a museum
like
or a
that.
secondary specialist that's been invited to verify it or university
There's a
or
whole
just the
channel
photos?
about there's a whole History Channel documentary about it. If you want to watch it, it's got all the citations in it. It's a great watch. History Channel. Everybody loves watching history, right? Well, they put this particular documentary on it, which is about that exact thing. So, yeah, the History Channel's got a great program about it that you should watch. You know what I mean? If you've not seen, you probably have seen it. Sounds like you've seen it, honestly. So
There is
so
only
yeah,
photographs of coral formations.
you're mad, man. This guy's got a picture of underwater chariot wheel and all sorts, mate. So we've got other stuff as well. This isn't the only thing that we've got. We've got like we could just go on for like the whole
If
day
he had
about
an
different.
underwater chariot, why then
It's a
wouldn't they pull it
because
up to verify it, to date it, to look at it? Why is there nothing? Just a
you
photograph.
can see it and then you can observe it. I think it's because it's
You can't. It's
decayed
just a
underwater
photograph.
over time.
It's
Dude,
because it's a
it's on the
coral
program.
formation.
You can
It's
you can
just a
look it
coral
up.
formation. There's no wheel. There's no axle. It's a
It's on the
coral
program.
formation.
Okay, bro. If that's what you want to think, you know what? When you look at the picture, this is the place where the chariots went down. There was other stuff found there. There wasn't just that. There was like Roman coin, and there was some piece of an actual chariot or something like
Would
that.
that
Or
survive for 3,000 years in salt
remember
water?
what it's on the program, and there's another thing is that's the point, is that it would break down over time. That's why he's not disturbing it probably. So you're looking at what is essentially like the remains of it's the seabed essentially. Now if you go and disturb it, it'll probably break up, but that might be why he didn't remove it. You'd have to ask him, but he took photographs. Okay.
A not archaeologist took photographs, but there's no specimen, there's no evidence that we can
There is.
observe or
Oh my,
independently test. You say I'm
dude,
biased.
he,
You have given me
he
two
did
examples, one with
that.
the wrong location, one that's
It
just
wasn't.
photographs of coral.
You lied about
You
that and said
have
it was.
nothing. You have nothing.
You said it was the wrong location, it was the right location. So you're just wrong about what the location was supposed to be, because you know who got it right? The people doing the
For Sodom and
the
Gomorrah.
excavation. What? Yeah, they got the Sodom and Gomorrah location.
So the Bible
right.
is wrong then, because the
No, they
Bible
found
says
the
it's supposed to be in the southern Dead Sea region.
okay, and
Tal
from
Al Haman is in
Antonio,
the northern Dead Sea region.
this is why you're like satanic. You already know what the response to that is. I told you earlier. I told you the response to that. Why are you bringing up the same thing again and like just gaslighting, bro? You're so dishonest. I already responded to that. You can't say, "Oh, it's in the
Yeah,
southern
your
region of the
response
Bible."
wasn't sufficient. You didn't
Yes, it
say.
was.
You said that they
Yes, it.
tested there and they assumed it was the right area. No.
No, it wasn't that they assumed it was the right areas. That then they might have tried different areas. There's nothing wrong with that. But then they found it, bro. They found the one with the
So the
sulfur
Bible was
balls and
wrong.
everything. No, the Bible's right. The Bible doesn't say anything. What's wrong about it? When it's saying it's in the southern part of the Dead Sea, maybe based on his perspective, the person who's writing that, it was to the south. But you wouldn't care
No.
about the facts, would you?
In
Because you're just a
Genesis 13, Lot looks over the plain,
dishonest, bro.
journeying east from
You're
Bethel.
dishonest. You're dishonest. You are being dishonest on purpose, and you
No,
know
I'm
you
not.
are. Yes, you are. It's ridiculous. And even still, even if they, and this isn't the case, but it depends on the perspective, and they've already gone into this. You've already heard the argument. Even if the Bible got some kind of inconsequential thing wrong, like the day or something that Jesus came back, or when he went to be one
It's
person or the other after
consequential.
the resurrection, it doesn't matter. It literally
Why?
doesn't matter because the point of the Bible isn't to be super hyper focused on one particular fact, apart from the fact that Jesus is resurrected and is the Messiah, right? It's the God who came into this world. That's the point. This other shit that you're talking about, it's not as important as that. And so they don't necessarily have to preserve it in the same way. The thing that we're preserving is the truth about fucking Jesus Christ. We're not trying to preserve the truth about some fucking random thing about where exactly the location of Sodom and Gomorrah is. It's irrelevant. I don't know where all of the different previous kingdoms were back
It's
after,
there
Boers or
are
something like that. I don't know.
dozens,
Ones
dozens
after
of
Abraham.
mythologies written from, the Bronze Age and before. It is important because you discern what is true history and what is mythology. It leads one to
I'm
think
talking
that the Bible is another example of mythology when
Bible.
these
Bible
facts are
isn't
not
about.
historically
Okay.
backed up.
The Bible doesn't have to document everything that ever happened in the world.
No
Okay,
one
that's
said
not
that
what
it
the Bible.
does. That's not what I'm
Oh, yeah, well,
saying.
you seem to be saying because you're talking about Bronze Age, facts that have been left out of the Bible that nobody gives a flying
I
fuck
am
about.
replying to the
You're
two
trying to make out
examples you
like they
gave.
the Bible too right now, right? No,
What?
they shouldn't. Why would they be in the Bible? Why would some random shit about some Bronze Age crap be in the Bible? It's all about God. That's the whole point in it. It's explaining to us how we should live, what the commandments are, and all of that kind of stuff. How Jesus is the sacrificial, redeemer, and that why the world is the way that it is because of the actions of Adam and Eve and all of that kind of stuff. I mean, do you already know all of that? You know all of that stuff. You've been a Christian before.
What are you getting at?
You're being dishonest. You know what you're doing. You hate Christianity or something. Maybe you grew up a Christian and then you've decided to turn against Christianity because you're a rebel, and now you're trying to prove yourself even though it doesn't make sense, and you're just bickering over inconsequential crap, right? Instead of you said, oh
Why?
yeah, do you have some kind of empirical stuff that goes in line with the Bible? Yeah, we've done excavations on places that were said to be in the Bible in a particular location. Then we dig that. That proves the accuracy of the Bible,
And
right?
they are
Also, the Bible
wrong.
said things.
So they are
No,
wrong.
they're
So what
not.
do you have? So
What are you on about? No, they're not wrong.
the location is incorrect. There were
It's
no
not in. It's
chariots.
We already went. Oh, okay. Well, there's photographs that you can look at. You can watch the whole
The
documentary. It's on the
photographs are
history.
of coral.
And talk about the Chariot's wheel on the fucking thing, and you can say what you like about it. But it's not just the chariot's wheel that they have a picture of under the sea, right? Because somebody might be able to say, not sure about that. But there was actual stuff like a lapel button or something like that, where basically you see the remains of on a very they didn't do like a massive excavation of the area because it's under the sea, but they were able to just go there and start finding stuff, from 2,000 years ago.
If you could be
See
proven
exactly
without a
where,
shadow of a doubt that the example
exactly where
of the chariots were wrong, and that the Sodom and Gomorrah sulfur excavation was also of a different
there's more.
location, would your faith in Christianity
I
be
have,
altered in any
I know
way?
already said to you before this that my belief in Christianity is based off of the logical arguments about contingency and necessity. Right, I'm talking about a necessary being that has the attributes to account for the world. Okay, I don't talk about archaeological digs and stuff like that as the grounding reason why I came to Christianity. When I was a secular person, right, I would have been just like you saying, oh no, you guys, are making all these claims, but we can't justify it. So then I was asking them, why are you more well justified in your beliefs than I am in mine? And we get into it
You
because I, at that time, had a two-tiered system of evaluation, the same thing that you have. You got this standard that you're holding me to, where you think that I should be logical and based in the principle of sufficient reason, and that I don't make
yes,
any arbitrary assertions. But then when I ask you about how you justify the reliability of your sense perception, you beg the question and assert, an arbitrary assertion without justification. So you've got a two-tiered evaluation system. I realized I was being a hypocrite in that way. And then
it's
I tried to figure
insane.
out, okay, well, what is the difference between why is it that they're able to justify what they're saying and what allows for them to do that without begging the question? Whereas you
Any
just, I guess you're just
yeah.
going to say that we're wrong because what justification have
If
you got to say
you
that
go
we're wrong
down
about
the
anything?
chain of reasoning in your brain, and there arrives an endpoint. Just because that endpoint
Yeah.
exists doesn't mean that a god is necessitated, as a
Oh,
necessity.
we earlier I went over about how we get to the prime mover. You understand the logic that gets you to the prime mover, right? Same mathematical principles
Why
that
do you need a
justify your
prime
belief.
mover?
The same. Do you agree that the same mathematical principles that justify your belief in a Big Bang also justify your belief in a prime mover?
You're gonna have
Do
to
you
explain
understand?
more.
Okay, so cause and effects. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Every action is governed by a previous reaction, right? We look out at the world, we see this causal chain of events, right? We apply
Okay.
the theoretical virtues and our understanding of mathematics, reduce the equation down to its lowest common denominator, and so we get a justification that all of the momentum in the universe came from a single point. That's how we do it, right? We've got no justification in some kind of plurality of powers, right? We have a necessary thing that must exist. So we're justified in believing in this necessary thing. If you don't believe in that thing, then the question is just going to be, well, what do you believe instead? Because it doesn't, you can't be justified in anything else. We believe in the necessary thing. You're going to believe in some kind of, you know, arbitrary presupposition or something. So that's the difference. Do you believe in the prime mover? Do you believe there's a singularity, or do you believe in an infinite regress or something like that? Do, do you mind answering that?
There's no reason to believe that the universe started from a finite perspective in time.
Okay, so do you? So well, we do have justification to believe in that, but are you a physicalist? Do you believe that everything is physical, or do you think things transcend the physical world?
Yeah, I have no reason to believe that there are things that exist beyond what we can measure and observe.
Okay, so you're in the belief that everything's physical and you won't believe in anything that transcends the physical world unless there's some kind of evidence to present itself to you. Currently.
Yes.
Okay, well, this is the justification, is that either way, the physicalist perspective can't justify the existence of the world in the way that it is. Okay, because it can either be a
Why?
finite physical past. I'll explain. It can either be a finite physical past or an infinite physical past. Now, which one do you want to do first? Which one do you actually believe in? Do you think it's finite or do you think it's infinite? The
Don't
past
know.
in the physical world.
We don't
Infinite.
know. We have no idea.
Well,
Let's go with
he's
infinite.
gonna go. Yeah.
Let's see what the
Okay. So
logical potato
it's an
peels.
it leads to an infinite regress, right? Which is it basically. Look, this is the analogy that I like to give. So if I said to you, well, it's not really an analogy, but anyway, if I gave you a question, sorry, if I gave you a
Hey,
present,
excuse me, not Fox.
yeah,
You're
let me
doing all
just.
the talking. I ain't gonna lie.
I am
Also,
talking a
check
lot.
that side chat.
So okay, so if I said to you, I'm going to give you a present after an infinite amount of time, when would you receive that present?
You would never receive that present.
But you're in the present right now. That's why there can't be an infinite past.
Did you just say receive a present and then confuse it with the term for the time
No, it's a
present?
double entendre. The present is the present. That's the present that you're getting. It's a double entendre.
Wait,
And
was
it
this a
tricked you.
poem or was this like a logical argument?
And it tricked you. That's the
I'm
gotcha,
sorry.
right?
Go ahead. Say it one more time. I didn't understand you clearly.
If I said I'd give you a present after an infinite amount of time, when would you
Okay.
receive that present?
You would not receive a present.
Exactly, but you're in the present right now.
What does this prove?
It proves that there can't be an infinite past because in order to overcome an
Why?
infinite past, because you could never overcome something that's infinite because it never ends. That's why
You
when I
can.
said,
Oh, you are so short-sighted. You can
what,
count backwards infinitely.
no,
Is there
no,
such?
no,
Have you heard of the term negative infinity?
it doesn't matter if you separate it into there's a forward moving or that if the infinite past
It.
goes infinitely backwards,
Uh
then that
huh.
means there must have been an infinite amount of physical reactions that preceded us. There's an infinite chain of physical reactions that preceded us, right? Now, how would you be able to overcome an infinite series of physical reactions? Because that's what you're claiming happened. You're saying there's an infinite amount of physical time that preceded this moment. How can you account for that infinite physical time when we're in the present? You wouldn't be in the present if there was an infinite past. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Doesn't follow. Just because you
Okay.
can have an infinity backwards doesn't mean that a now couldn't exist. Because you can just think about it numerically. You can pin an infinity at any point, and yet that doesn't mean that the points at that specific point no longer exist. Right? You can go
Your
infinitely
claim,
backwards from the number 72, and that doesn't mean the number
bro,
72 stops existing. Your logic makes no
you're,
sense right now.
okay, you're claiming that you've overcome an infinite series of physical reactions that preceded this moment.
You're saying
That's
that as
your
if it's
claim.
some impossible feat. It just all
How?
that we know in cosmology is as far back as the Big Bang. And beyond that,
Yeah,
most
okay.
today, most scientists don't actually claim that that's the beginning of the universe. That's why I posed, an
Do.
idea for an infinite universe, right? So
They
the
do
the,
believe
the
that the
no,
reason that
they
they
don't.
believe
You're
they
outdated. They don't think that
point.
it's a finite universe. They just think that there was a singular point with the Big Bang, but they don't claim that that was the beginning of all space and time and all existence.
They used to
That's
say that, and the reason that they used to say that is because they knew it led to an infinite regress, and they'd rather do the ex nihilo than do the infinite regress. And Lawrence Krauss, when he said something from nothing, ended up doing the infinite regress anyway, because he said it's a quantum soup that then led to a physical thing. But quantum reactions are still physical in the sense that we're talking about. And the fact is that an infinite series of quantum reactions has the same problems with an infinite series of physical reactions. if there was, look, so this is, in order to have reached the present, we would have to have overcome an infinite series of physical reactions. There's an infinite series of hurdles in the way before we could have reached this moment, because you're saying there's an infinite past, right? So how did
Sure.
we overcome an infinite series of physical hurdles?
That's not how
How is
infinity
that
works.
possible?
Infinity is
Yes, it
not lit.
that's what
No, it's not.
infinity
Infinity
means.
is not that there is literally this idea of infinity that is ever existing, and then you have to pass that to get to now. It just means that it continues expanding. It's have you ever done like summations in
Where?
math?
From where? From where? Where's it expanding from? Is it from a finite point, or did
Well,
it always exist? Because it
we
leads
can't do we can't predict what was before the Big Bang, right?
way. It's a problem.
It's not.
It doesn't. Yes, it is.
Why is it a
Because you're
problem?
listen. What you're describing an infinite series of events that precedes this. Right now, we're measuring it from the present and we're looking back. So it's already happened. You can't say, oh, well, it's going and expanding into the future. Irrelevant. There's an infinite past already where it expanded to the present, apparently. So
Do
we're
you
looking
think
at the
that
past.
do you
We're
think that
looking at the
heaven
past,
do you think that
bro.
heaven goes on forever?
It's irrelevant.
It is
Irrelevant right
relevant
now.
because you're talking about your
We're
ideas of how infinity works. So I'm asking about how you think
talking about,
infinity works for heaven
you're
or hell.
derailing the point.
It's not.
Dude, it's not physical. We're talking about physical things right now. Okay? They've got different limitations. So if you're saying we're looking at from the present perspective, okay, we're in the present and we're looking back. Now, from what you're saying there's an infinite past. But the problem is looking back at this infinite past view is that in order to have reached the present, we'd have to have overcome an infinite past. And you can't overcome something that never
Listen,
ends.
my
You can't
my
have
my
overcome
headset
something.
battery is low, so I have to leave here in a second. But you're
Rather
just
nice.
using sci-fi logic to try and invent a problem that doesn't exist. Even if there was an infinitely regressing past, that doesn't mean that a future now can't exist. And if in your idea you think that there's an infinite future forward, which you do, you think that there's an eternity in heaven, then that doesn't suddenly negate our existence now because of an infinity ahead of us yet to come. Or that you think that point in an infinite future can't exist because there's an infinity of that to over. It is nonsensical. That makes no sense. It's like he pulled an argument from the Infinity Stones of the Avengers and said, you cannot, contort reality if you don't have all of the stones. And me pointing out, that is a Marvel comic. And him getting mad at me. I feel like that's what the end was. What does that even mean that you can't overcome the infinity in the past? It's just so shallow, so poor of imagination you have stripped your mind of when you condense yourself to these meaningless arguments. It's just, this is why I get criticized for this. Why do you even talk to these people? Why do you even entertain these arguments? But I have to just kind of bang my forehead into the wall every now and then just to remind myself that this is consuming the minds of so many humans across the world. And this is the reason that we have particular presidents or particular Zionist regimes and particular groups of people entirely being genocided for no other reason than, pure hatred, which is, it's absolutely devastating. And so actually, it is with great interest in the spirit of humanity, I say in the most, verbose way possible, that we should point out every bit of bullshit that's brought on in any instance, because it is hurting us. It is hurting all people across society. And as sad and as, bad I feel for this sad Christian dinosaur, it is his ideas that hurt us more and more. And so that's why I decided to jump in and record this video. So thank you for watching. I will continue to post more because I believe in looking for the truth and looking for how we can better us as people, how we can treat our fellow humans better and be more ethical and morally good to the neighbors around us, because this is all we have. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.